All right, yeah. Hey, everybody, how's it going? This is Bob, and tonight I'm talking to Joseph M Lenard. Now, Leonard is spelled kind of differently, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. It looks French. It's not Lenard,
Lenard.
right? It's Leonard, but without an O. And yeah,
It's
I have to distinguish as Joseph M. Leonard because there is a Joseph Lenard out of one of the Carolinas that's also an author. So I have to make sure to
oh,
make that
okay.
distinction that, you know, I want people buying my books, not that person's books,
Oh, is
right?
his middle initial M as well? You
I
said?
have no idea. He doesn't
Oh,
use
okay.
one, so yeah,
I
if he did, that'd be a problem.
like Michael J. Fox. I think he put the J in there for some reason because there was a Michael Fox or something.
Yep,
But yeah.
yep.
So would you normally spell your last name with Leonard?
Well, most people spell Leonard that way, but yeah, no,
Oh.
our family, it's actually Polish. I have
Oh,
no
hey, get
idea.
out of town.
I've done some of the family heritage stuff, but it doesn't go back far enough to understand what, it was Leonard or or whatever at some point and became Leonard.
It just got shortened, right? Because yeah, that's what happened. A lot of
Probably.
people who came over, they shortened their names. Well, because of World War II, a lot of them. So came over and then shortened their names so they wouldn't sound so foreign.
Right, right. Like on
Yeah.
my mother's side, maiden name is Keeler from the
Mm,
Kiel region of Germany. So
right.
Keeler, what that I still haven't gone far enough quite back there either to know if it was something other than that actually, way back in the weeds in Germany or not. But I do know that our ancestors from Germany escaped World War One at the time. So
Ah, okay. So I was gonna
when
say, I was gonna ask you, did they come over during the Second World War or before that? So World War
yeah,
One. So
the Italian and Polish side of the family, I'm not exactly sure when they came over.
gotcha. That's interesting, though. All very interesting. It's wild that even though I mean, I guess it's been coming up on almost 100 years soon, but a lot of people, their families came over because of World War II,
Hmm.
and a lot of them don't even. I mean, nobody talked about it because it was such a shitty time. So you don't even know that your heritage, moved during those times because nobody wanted to talk about it because they're like, oh no, we're American now, we're going to be American, and we're
Right.
not going to talk about all that stuff because we don't want to,
Most
you know.
immigrated here to escape something. So, yeah,
Right,
they
exactly.
were hopeful about a renewal, their new start, their fresh start, what we are building here. Yeah, that stuff, forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm from my. I don't have a full family thing either, but they came over before both wars from Europe, so I do know that much, but I don't know exactly all the different areas and so forth. So I do know that my wife's family was German Polish, and they came over because of the war.
Mm,
So, but not all of them. So that's an interesting history there, right? So some
yep.
of them stayed and fought the war on the other side.
Yeah, that's always a part I'm curious about too. I mean, people who could trace lineage back here, even
Hmm.
back to the Civil War,
Oh, right, yeah.
family divided. Some fighting for the South, some fighting for the North. I am curious. I mean, what family was there that left behind?
How
What
the
did they
split,
do?
right?
Yeah, what did they do during those wars? Because I mean, World War II. The saying is, like only 6% of Germans actually were Nazis.
Right.
So I, and of that 6%, even a chunk of that were people who only joined the party because they needed to economically to survive before the war, right? It was,
Right. Yeah.
the chance to, we're not making it. If I join the party, it's like labor unions here in a way, right? If I join the labor union, that can help me maybe get a job or not. So there's, people's motivations have to be taken into consideration. It's not black and white. There's gray area.
Oh no, very
like
very gray. Yeah.
Frederick Porsche, Volkswagen. He
Hmm.
built what was basically the Beetle for Hitler,
Right.
right?
People's car. People's car.
The people's car, Volkswagen, the people's car,
Right.
still
Yeah.
around today. He wasn't a hardcore Nazi, but I make
What are you gonna
cars.
do, right?
I make cars. They ask me to make a car. I'll make a car.
I'll make. Yeah. What am I gonna? I'm gonna get taken out back and shot. I guess I'll make a car.
Right.
Right. let's take the easier path here. Let's not martyr ourselves. But yeah, I mean it's such a weird combination of things. I always joke that my lineage is a fur trapper. Everybody, all my family came down from Canada to trap fur back in the day. So beaver pelts and whatnot.
Yeah.
So is Jay Leonard Detroit? Is that your rap name?
Yeah, for whatever reason, way back when, I created that for my social media handle, and just kind of stuck on most social media platforms. I am Jay Leonard Detroit, so people then immediately know what region I'm from, in that.
Well,
so.
apparently that's important to you that you're from Michigan and specifically from the Motor City area, I guess, because you do have it. You have it in a lot of places. So
yeah,
what's the history on that? Were you born there?
Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Southeast Michigan. I've never owned property outside of Wyandotte, Michigan.
Really?
I've resided temporarily some other places here and there, like North Miami Beach for some schooling and stuff like that. But yeah,
I thought you were gonna tell me the correctional facility, but that's good to know.
That was supposed to be between you and me, Bob.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh,
I didn't want to give anything away.
Yeah,
it's just the way you said that. I'm like, I don't know. What does he mean by that?
Yeah, there's that brief year period we don't really talk about.
Where I went to Louisiana and worked the chain gang. It was a hard year. So,
but
well, that's interesting, though.
That reminds me, before we get too far in, I did create a static and a Dr. Bob code, promo code for terrorstrikes.info/shop. So if anybody wants a discount on an autographed copy, either static
there you go.
or DRBOB at terrorstrikes.info/shop, promo code static or Dr. Bob, on any one, both two, or all three of my books, because my third book just dropped on my birthday, August 11th.
Oh, really? So let's see. Promo code. Let's see if I can put this on here. Is it just static or Dr. Bob?
Yeah.
For Terror Strikes. I guess I have to learn how to spell here while we're doing this. And what was the other one? Is the new one too, or no?
Yeah, the new one is Constitutionalist Politics, based on the podcast. I just started a podcast.
Oh yeah, I know. I got to figure out how to spell this now.
Yeah, Christ-I-tutionalist, like in constitutionalist.
Yeah.
Emerging of Christian constitutionalist. Because of the left-right paradigm, liberal conservative, Democrat Republican, any of those labels often automatically evoke a knee-jerk, emotionally hysterical reaction, and you can't have a discussion. So I figured I'd create the term Christitutionalists
Mm-hmm.
for me and fellow Christians to try to come together and have a discussion on our, shared principles and values based on our faith. Because, the left tries to peddle this separation of church and state, which was just a Jefferson letter. There is no separation from church to state, which is what the left really wants to try to do. So, yes, we should be involved in politics. Separation of church and state just means there would be no federal official church. There would be no Church of America like there was the Church of England.
Yeah, church. Exactly. There you go. You're gonna do what you want, right? So
Right.
you're gonna be whatever you want to be, and I don't know if you can. You see that thing at the bottom of the screen at all? I don't know if you can.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Does that all look somewhat correct?
Yeah, it's constitutional list.
Oh, okay. Now I gotta start over. Now I gotta add an
It
S on the back of
won't,
it.
yeah, won't let you edit that in.
There we go. All right. There you go. There
Hey.
we go. So, so getting back to Detroit. So I'm not going to ask you when you were born, but you're born in Detroit. You've lived in Detroit. You've traveled around a bit, but so when you traveled around, was that because it was somewhat for part of schooling, but was some of it work or like out of
Yeah,
school or
yeah, work,
and
yeah, a lot
what
through
kind
work
of
and
what kind of were you doing government work or what were you doing?
No, I'm a former IT guy
Oh,
and
okay. Well, I
worked.
think thankfully you got the help you need, and you got out of that because IT people in general tend to be cranky and bitter. So that's my two takes
Yeah,
on
and
that.
I'm bald, but that wasn't from pulling it out.
Oh, okay.
That's
That was
from
natural.
cancer in
Oh
2010.
my God, cancer.
I had
Here, I was going to make a
leukemia.
joke about this, and now
Yeah,
you go
well,
drop the cancer bomb on me.
I joke about it, because it actually I used to have allergies, and the chemotherapy cured the allergies too. So
Oh, really?
hey,
How did that
bonus!
work?
Isn't that great? So if you've
How
got
how
bad
that
out,
happen?
yeah, I have no idea, but if you've got bad outdoor allergies, get chemotherapy. You just got to lose your
Uh,
hair in the process, but
uh, many near-death experiences get rid of allergies. I've heard. Yeah. So
who knows? That might be true. We just don't
we
realize.
bring you to the brink of death, and then guess what? No more allergies. You're like, okay, maybe I'll skip on that one. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it may be a drastic treatment, but hey,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're desperate,
Yeah. I don't know if I'm that desperate. I got allergies terribly sometimes, but yeah, I don't think I want to do the near-death treatment. Not yet. Maybe when I get a little older, I'll be like, yeah, I'll do that. What the heck? What have I got to lose at this point? So then, whatever you were out and about in the world, Miami and whatnot, what brought you back to Michigan?
usually just roots, family, the usual
Not a
kind of
woman or
thing.
anything?
No, no, no.
I
Mainly
just want to
family.
ask.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good though. But I mean, like, was there a crisis, or just you're like, the world sucks. I want to go back to where I can get free food and mooch off of people, or
Uh,
what?
yeah, I hate winters here, obviously, but I mean,
Yeah.
it is nice having four seasons, and
Oh yeah.
a lot of the water around here. I don't fish, but there's a lot to see, a lot to do around here. Or at least there used to be a lot of opportunity around here with
Mm.
the governor of idiot Granholm, which is who is now the moron Department of Energy for Bidum. Uh, we called that her 8 years, the lost decade, because like 10% of our population left during her administration.
Oh, really?
It was so disastrous for the
It wasn't
state.
the fact that you could light the water on fire or anything like that?
No, we've cleaned most of that up.
Oh, okay. Good.
But now
You
with
know,
our
that
current,
makes the news.
yeah, our current wretched Whitler is another Granholm. People are fleeing the state again because they've got to leave for job opportunities elsewhere. The jobs are leaving. They're gone. Nobody wants to, you know, open new businesses here unless if they're getting government handouts to do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, everybody wants to take advantage of a good loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can put that on a T-shirt. Looking for loopholes. Well, it's interesting to me. I have never been to Michigan. Now, Miles, my co-host on Static, who's normally around, he's familiar and he has family in Michigan, but I've never been. One of my goals over the next couple of years is to get up there to do some sightseeing. If I go to Michigan, what should I go? I mean, you know, if you say Detroit, I'm going to think that maybe you don't. You're putting me on. I know there's a lot better things than that up there, but
Well, hey, you know what? Downtown Detroit's a nice place. It's just all the other square acreage looks like Hiroshima still.
yeah.
You know.
Well, if I want to
when
pick up
the
a
bomb
house
was-
for $1, maybe I'll stop by and get something.
Exactly. You can literally do that
Yeah.
in Detroit. Yeah, pick up a property for $1. But yeah, I mean, if you've got the money to hang out and stay around the downtown expensive area, it's great. Plenty to see and do there. But
Really?
yeah, most people will come to Michigan to go to like Traverse City. That's
Right.
kind of the resort area, or go.
What's the
to
island that everybody goes to that you can't
Ma-
drive a car on?
Mackinac Island? Yeah,
Mackinac.
beautiful.
I got to get
beautiful.
up there. Are there
Yeah.
rich people in Mackinac?
Well, there's no poor people. Let's put it that way. And you got to stay at the Grand Hotel. It's expensive, and there's no air conditioning there. They've kept the hotel authentic. So there's
Yeah.
the old steam radiators work fine, but there's no air in there. So yeah.
Well, they just fill them with lemonade. You'll be okay. Just push some lemonade through them in the
Yeah.
summertime. You'll cool off, right? You'll just lick them.
Yeah, most people know of Mackinac Island because of the Somewhere in Time Christopher Reeve's Jane Seymour movie. And that's the one time a car was allowed on the island. They made an exception so that they could bring a car on the island for basically one scene in that
One
movie.
scene in the movie.
And the horses
Those
were
Hollywood
probably-
people, they get their way. They pay
Yeah.
off to everybody. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I'm sure that check they waved at him was too good to pass on.
Oh, I'm sure. They're like, yeah, it's
But
only
if-
one little car.
If you do come to Mackinac Island, of course, the famous Mackinac fudge, that's world renowned. I mean,
Really?
you can buy that anywhere, but you've got to get it made fresh in front of you, watching it being made and buy it fresh. Oh, fantastic. And the
I've
other
never-
thing,
Mackinac
never heard
fudge,
of
that
it?
sounds like you're putting me on.
no, it really is. It's really good. Really
They'll be
good.
like, yeah, you can have some Mackinac lemonade and some Mackinac fudge and some
Yeah.
Mackinac milk.
You know those ice cream sandwiches that are put between like two chocolate chip cookies?
Mm-hmm.
The Grand Hotel and Mackinac does those by hand. They bake the cookies fresh, the fresh ice cream. You out in their on their property, and they're literally making them in front of you fresh. It's like, oh my God, those are so good.
You're selling it here.
It's a great place to visit. It really is lovely.
How you spell Mackinac? I'm trying to.
Mackinac. There's also
Right.
a Mackinaw, because there's after the Indian tribe. So there's actually
Ah.
more than one. There's a
Oh, I put
Mackinac.
the W on it, so I did it wrong apparently.
Yes, right.
I put an advertisement for your cookie witches on Mackinac, only
Ah,
$5.
it actually looks like Mackinac rather than Mackinac.
Mackinac. Dang it!
And
I'm
you made
misspelling everything.
yeah, and you made me realize too. The scroll you put was before too was you can't use that promo code Static or Dr. Bob on Amazon.
Oh,
You
sorry.
you have to use it on terrorstrikes.info/shop.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. At terrorstrikes.info. Well, we're just gonna do it all here. All right, I've done that one. I guess you're not gonna push any more Mackinac cookie witches, so we'll switch it out then. There we go. So, no, that sounds good though. I mean, I honestly have been wanting to come up there probably since just before COVID broke. I'm like, we have, we travel around a bit, and I'm like, we haven't been up to Michigan yet. That would be a good place to go, I think. But then COVID
Yeah.
happened and
Well, yeah, a
spoiled
lot of
everybody's
people
plans.
will come to either Holland, Michigan for the Tulip Festival
Hmm.
or Traverse City for the Cherry Festival, or you could go to Mackinac Island, and then from Mackinac Island you could take the ferry off the island back
It's
to
a
your car.
fudge
And,
festival
yeah,
up there.
do a day trip to Quamanon Falls, which is very lovely area.
Oh my gosh, everything.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot in the area.
how far away from Canada are you?
Oh, almost a stone's throw. Yeah, Wyandotte, which is where I actually live, is a
Hmm.
southern suburb of Detroit.
Hmm.
And Wyandotte is actually, it's considered a downriver community. So literally,
Really?
Wyandotte is on the river. I'm not on a riverfront property in Wyandotte, but 5 minutes less because of the traffic lights. I can be on the river staring across at Canada.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So, do you go up and get all your medication up there? Is that the deal? Everybody talks
No,
about how cheap it is in Canada or something. You
right,
go, if
right.
you get hurt, you throw yourself over the border and they'll just take care of you.
I haven't been to Canada in probably more than 20 years, just because of after 9/11, the hassle to get back and forth across the border just
Hmm.
isn't worth it. But before 9/11, I used to vacation up in Canada all the time.
Oh, really?
The summers are cooler, obviously, the further north you go. So
Right.
I'd go up to Orillia, Ontario, which some people may recognize. That's the home of their native son, Gordon Lightfoot, who
Oh, yes.
passed away last year. And of course,
Yeah.
Detroit, we have a tight connection with Gordon Lightfoot because of his wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Mariner Church in downtown Detroit, there is a ceremony held, a remembrance every year regarding the wreck. So I actually got to meet Gordon Lightfoot one time at
Really?
at one of the wreck. I don't know what they officially call it something, but I'll just call it the wreck remembrance. But it's officially called something. I can't think of what it
The
is
dead sailor memorial, I think is.
Yeah.
So, when he left, he said, "Hey, you better take care." That's a lyric from his song. Anyway,
That's Sundown.
yeah,
Sundown,
sundown.
you better take care. Yeah. I've got that 45. 45 RPM vinyl. I've got
Tell
that.
us what a 45 was.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah,
No one knows what
lost
the
a
hell
lot
you're
of your
talking
audience,
about.
huh?
Is it like a cassette single? What is it?
Right, it's a vinyl single.
It's a vinyl single.
A lot of the younger generation knows what albums and 45s
Yeah, they
are now
do.
because
They're in
making
vogue
a
now.
comeback. They're making
Yeah.
a comeback because it really does. I mean, the crackle and the pop and the little bit of hiss, it adds flavor to the music.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. So you're in Michigan, you're having a good time, living your life, right? And so when did you decide, you know what I really need to do is write a book? When did this
Well,
come about?
my father was Ted Leonard Jr. of Ted Leonard Jr. and the Polka Kings. So,
What?
talking about vinyl records, I've still
Uh,
got his
what
albums
was it?
and his
Oh,
45s.
what was it?
So,
They said old SCTV, Yash Mingy, and I'm Yash Mingy, and I'm what's his name? Something Schmingy, and we're the Happy Wanderers, and it's like zigga zagga, hey, hey, hey. What was that? Is that what they did?
I don't remember. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no. So Ted Leonard Jr. and the Polka Kings. So I had the creative gene, and as his dad also had a polka band. So
That
I
is, you
had the
need to play that on your show. You need to play some of that music because you got an
I
inside thing,
I
you know.
actually do.
Oh, good.
My father's tune, father's band's tune. He wrote it, but yeah, the band played it obviously. Our Little Polish Genie is on the end of a couple of my Constitutionalist Politics podcast
Oh,
shows as
fantastic.
tribute to him. But yeah, I got my creative gene from him. So I've been writing my whole life, 70s and 80s. Yeah, I dabbled in music too, but I didn't play the accordion. I played guitar and drums and keyboards. And, I was never good enough to get a record deal like they were able to get a
Right.
record deal. So,
So did you travel around a whole bunch,
I
I'm
see polka,
guessing?
polka, polka at the bottom of the screen there now. So yeah, they toured all over, the northeastern states. I mean, they were pretty well known. And in fact,
Cool.
a friend of mine called me up a few months ago because a station that still plays polkas played one of their records a couple months ago. So he
Really?
called me up to let me know. Yeah, I mean their music still gets played. They
That's
put out
great.
hits, but I never got a record deal. But I always wrote. Uh, I holder of more than 3 dozen copyrights. It's just that Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You finally became my first internationally published book.
Oh, okay. So that was so you had stuff prior to that that kind of built
Yes,
up to being the Terror Strikes was your kind of the one that kind of put you over the edge or whatever you want to say.
right. Yeah, put
Which
me on the
probably not a good
international map.
phrase there. Yeah. So have you because of it have you like been a pundit on anything? I mean, have you been like at one point everybody and their brother was on shows talking about terror back in the in the 90s and into the
Yeah.
2000s. So
Yeah, unfortunately, CNN, I wouldn't want to go on there. I mean, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN. Unfortunately, none of them have ever called me. But yeah, I've
oh
been on some
man,
radio shows
yeah.
talking, about it
Oh,
because
okay.
some people seem to foolishly think that during the Wuhan hysteria, terrorists said, let's stop blowing people up. Let's take our AK-47s and turn them into plowshares and become farmers. Nope, didn't happen. Just because you're not seeing it on the nightly news doesn't mean it isn't still going on, and why I thought my book was important to be international and come out in 2022 when it did, telling that lesson. It hasn't gone away, and
Mhm.
the subtitle, Coming Soon, it can happen anytime to a city near you. It can happen any place. It's not just in LA, New York. There's a chapter on Toronto, Canada, in there, London, England,
Mhm.
Madrid, Spain, Tokyo, Japan. It's not just a major urban center issue. It can happen anytime, any place. Like the East Palestine train derailment. Now, I'm not
Mhm.
saying that was terrorism, But I am saying my book is historical fiction, or as I call it, faction. There is some historical fact as well as the fiction. Like the Tulsa chapter was about a train derailment. Well, I dramatized, which was based on a true event, that I dramatized the end of that chapter and predicted East Palestine.
Interesting. So, okay, so it's not all like history or anything like that.
Oh no,
And
that'd
so
be too dry.
it's has some artistic license to it. That's interesting. So, what was if you what was your first book then that wasn't quite as successful as this one? What was it called?
My first novel in the early 80s was The Gestapo Kidnap File. Has nothing to do with the war. What it is a kidnapping that takes place on Halloween. Hence the Gestapo getup.
I thought maybe you were going to say Gazpacho Kidnap File.
Yeah, no, that's another one for my Italian side, right?
It's a cookbook / kidnapping.
They kidnapped somebody because they didn't know how to cook.
They didn't know how to make it.
Forced them how to cook.
Right? You make the best gazpacho, so we're going to kidnap you and make you make it. It's kind of like it was a Breaking Bad of its time for gazpacho. So
yeah, somebody kidnaps not Wolfgang Puck. Who's the idiot with the shows now?
Is he always angry?
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, you were thinking Gordon Lightfoot, but yeah. Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, that would be. I don't know if that would be. Actually, that sounds like it would be a good book because I'm sure that he would have a lot of choice words to say.
It'd have to be an adult, mature book, right?
Right, exactly. It wouldn't be a young adult kind of a thing.
I think it'd be a short one, though, because I think the kidnappers would want to be rid of him and let him go real early on because of the kind of a pain-in-the-ass type person he is.
Ransom of Red Chief kind of spinoff there, right? So, if you're familiar with that one.
I don't think anybody would pay to free Gordon Ramsay. So
maybe. Well, I think he's got a family. I'm sure they would. They're making him lots of money. They probably would get rid of cash him out for that.
But I think the average person is tired of all his bazillion different variety of cooking shows that are on.
Yeah, he didn't cook much. He just yells at people. I think mostly.
Who do the cooking, right?
Yeah, you're not doing it right. And it's like, well, you do something. But so do you? If I can ask, I mean, you don't have to answer any of these questions if you don't want to, Joe. I want to put that out there right away. I've just been asking you. I should have prepped you for that. But so would you consider yourself now just an author, or you have to do other stuff on the side? Where are you at?
No, well, I was an IT guy, but I've been on disability since 2004. So writing and being an author and a podcaster is not a job. It's still a hobby.
Right.
All those things for me, yeah.
I hope that your disability isn't that you couldn't talk or something, because now you're really blowing it.
Right.
So did you get it? Was it an accident? I mean, if I'm getting too personal, just say
no, that's quite all right. Again, being in IT, I was on the technical support side of things. Mm-hmm. So, you work all day and you're fielding phone calls all night, sometimes in the middle of the night. And
if you're on 24 on call.
Yes. Sooner or later, that stress adds up and takes a toll. And at some point, then my body said, we're not doing this, we're shutting down. We are not going to do this anymore. You can't do this anymore. And indeed, I couldn't.
You were like a key player then if you were on call all the time.
Yeah.
Then that made
I mean, the salary was nice, right? Obviously. I mean, your worth obviously then translates. So, yeah, I mean, it was great having a six-figure salary, and
Mm,
now I'm scraping by on disability income.
right.
It's a major adjustment.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. I mean, it's terrible. But so did you? This didn't bring on the cancer, did it? Did this?
No, that yeah, no, yeah. How that accidentally then happened, who knows either. But
Yeah.
it was leukemia. It was a blood cancer.
Oh,
Uh,
terrible.
so had trouble producing red and white blood cells sufficiently, and that and
Yeah, but the great thing is your blue blood cells were going like crazy. Oh, you're gonna laugh at it. You got red, white, blue shirt on. I'm just.
yeah. I knew where you were going. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It wasn't that funny. No problem. They can't all land. Sorry.
Right, that's right. Okay, since we're doing jokes, I love lame humor. Our humor is the same. Bad puns, I can't
Right.
pass on them. Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You has a comic relief chapter because to make one of the subpoints is you've got to keep a sense of humor. With
Hmm.
all the stress, all the serious stuff
Dark
going on
humor.
around, you've got to keep a sense of humor or you'll be sucking on your thumb, curled in the fetal position in a corner all the time. So
Yeah.
one of the jokes from my book, a Joe original, Shakespeare, for those who love Shakespeare, to be or not to be is truly the question. Because if it's to be, I got bingo! Lame
Oh my
pun,
gosh.
but
Yeah,
professional
that's
comedian didn't think of it. I did.
I got bingo. There you go. In the middle of all we're playing bingo with all this terror going on. Come on. It's called terrorist bingo.
That'll be the sequel. Terror Bingo. if,
So
if you've got 9/11 on your bingo card, right?
right.
If you had 9/11 on your bingo card, you're well on your way.
Or 116 could be 116.
Yeah.
Upside down 9/11. The so then so you had to tap out because the work environment was getting to be way too harsh. I shouldn't say tap out. That's a negative connotation. I should use a
I
better
know
word
what
than
you
that.
mean, though. I don't.
No, because it makes it sound like But so situation was that you needed to step back a little bit from that aspect of your life and go towards another one. But some people would say, Joseph, that what you're doing right now, right, is very stressful. Most people cannot talk off the top of their head like you're doing and, be coherent for any length of time. It's almost like public speaking in a way, because eventually this will be public, so
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Well,
that we got a bunch of people, but
I have to credit my father for that again. The band and being around that, and them being on stage. It made that and my ability to pick up a guitar and perform on stage because that was a natural, normal thing then for us in our family. So that was never an issue, a stage fright issue like some people have, or terrified to have to speak in public. That's never been an issue for me.
because that's usually number one on the list for people.
Public speaking,
Like they'll face down a bear before they'll go up in front of an audience to talk. So
the joke about imagine your audience naked.
in their, in their underwear and naked.
How that's the most that makes
I would say
make me more uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your audience, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe make you too comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But,
a room full of supermodels. Might cause another problem to pop up.
Yeah. Terror would strike.
Yeah. To use a double entendre purposely.
So, but that's interesting though. So it sounds like though that. So was your dad? Did he have to travel all the time? Was it just on the weekends?
Yeah,
or what?
mostly. Yeah, the weekends. He worked a regular job. He
okay. So he did both. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
he worked at General Motors. He was in the
Was he playing polka
transportation.
on the production floor, trying to cheer everybody up because they had shitty jobs, or what?
Yeah, he was a salary guy, worked in the transportation department, moving shit from here to there.
Oh, was he a Teamster?
Logistics. No, no, no. It's
Oh, okay.
salaried, non-union.
Okay, gotcha. I'm just asking. I was a Teamster for several years when I was
Oh,
younger, so
I was in
Teamsters,
a
Teamster
union.
baby.
Yeah, I was in a union briefly when I was working in the hotel industry. I actually went to school to study.
Elevator operator.
Yeah, I front desk, hotel motel management, and that. And first chance I had to get out of the union, I got out, and somebody there saw I had a head for the computers, and that's
Ooh.
how I kind of got my break into IT. And I got out of the union and
Oh,
into
really?
IT. It was at the Westin Hotel at the time.
Oh, high end
That's
Weston.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that center tower in the Renaissance Center. I think
Hmm.
it's run by Marriott now, but back
Yeah,
then
I
it
think
was.
they own all the Westons. Yeah, but
Yeah,
still high
Westin
end. That's
Hotel.
always been a high end property.
Yeah, which was nice at the time too, because as an employee, I got to stay at all the Westons for
Right.
50% off, and sometimes for free, depending.
Right.
So that helped to be able to go someplace I would otherwise not be able to go because I could stay inexpensively at a nice
Wow.
place.
He's scamming the man at the Weston there.
Which
So
friend and I went up to Toronto for a hockey game just to go to
who
see Maple Leaf Gardens. That would
who
have
was
been some.
playing?
I
Well, obviously the
forget who
Maple
they.
Leafs.
Yeah, I forget who they played, but because of working at the hotel, I met the announcer at the time for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Really?
And yeah, there was an issue. He had some issue getting money exchanged, so I took care of his room for the night. In
Oh, you're
exchange,
throwing your weight around. Yeah, don't worry
yeah,
about it. I'll take care of it.
in exchange, there was a quid pro quo. He'd
Uh-huh.
get me tickets for Maple Leaf Garden. So yeah, me and a
Ah,
friend drove up to Toronto, stayed at the Westin for free, got to go to a game for free. It basically cost us the gas and food.
right. That's a cool story there because I mean that's not your norm. I get well, maybe living in Michigan, you can just jump over the border and go see a hockey game. But that sounds pretty interesting. I mean, it's like, we're gonna go see the Maple Leafs play against the
Whomever it was, yeah.
yeah
It would have been nice if they would have been playing Detroit that day, but
the Red
yeah.
Wings. Why did you have your octopus with you? You're gonna throw your octopus out there?
No, no way I was going to smuggle one of those things in. Yuck.
I actually witnessed an octopus on the ice for a game a long time ago now. They were playing. I was in St. Louis at the Blues, obviously, and the Red Wings came down. This is when Gretzky played for the Blues.
Oh, that rare season.
1 year, right? I was going to see Gretzky play for the Blues, and they threw the octopus out. All these Detroit. I swear to God, half the audience was from Detroit
Oh,
that came
yeah.
down to see the game.
Yeah, that was
It
close
was
enough to
amazing.
drive. Yeah, close enough to
Yeah.
drive, or you could take an Amtrak from
Right.
Detroit
I
to
mean,
St.
it was
Louis.
lousy with Detroit people. Uh, and then they threw these octopus on the ice. It was crazy. I was like,
Yeah,
what are they
well,
doing? I had no idea at the time. So,
we started that trend ages ago, and so many others have picked. Right, the Florida Panthers, they throw rats. The story
they throw
behind that
Panthers.
is a rat was in the building, got onto the ice, and one of the Panther players killed it with his stick along the boards.
Great.
That birthed the throwing of plastic rats movement.
Oh, my
In
gosh.
Nashville, they throw carp, kind of, because it
Yeah.
comes from the water anyway, and there's lots of carp.
Nashville's
And,
known about their water.
yeah, and Vegas, they throw flamingos.
They throw showgirls. Showgirls or chips from the area
No, those are
casinos.
worth too much.
Yeah,
Or
well, it's
maybe
high
dollar
rollers.
chips.
These are high rollers, you know.
Yeah, dollar chips maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So, so then, so well, I forgot where I was at on you. I'm going. I'm doing a little chronological Joseph thing here.
Ah,
so, so actually, you've been kind of doing your thing, this kind of thing, basically since 2004. You said, or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so? Okay. So I mean, would is there? I mean, what's your end goal that you're hoping for? I guess I don't want to get to the end yet, but we're going to be on
Yeah.
an hour here pretty soon, so we're
Well,
probably going to march that way.
you know, I have no expectations of, whatever number of books to sell, but just selling more books and becoming known as an author would be really nice.
Hmm.
But I mean, my legacy is already established. The third book is out now. Those aren't going to go anywhere. They'll be available
What's the name
past
of your third one? What's the
once
name of
I
your third?
expire. Get Constitutionalist Politics
Oh, that's right.
to go with the
You told me that.
podcast. Yep, yep, yep. And the middle book is How to Write a Book and Get It Published: Hints, Tips, and Techniques. Because I go on a lot of shows to talk about terror strikes coming soon to a city near you, and they'd say, "Well, since you went through assisted publishing, as I call it, there's
Hmm.
it's mainly known as self-publishing." But there's various levels. There's like the vanity press kind. There's somewhat self-publishing that they help you with, and then there's higher end that I call assisted publishing. And I went that route. Well, people would ask me to come back on and talk about that process. Well, after a dozen times, I thought, you know what? Let me go on Amazon. And I looked. Sure enough, there's a bazillion books on how to put your book on Amazon, but
Right, right.
but not from concept to writing it,
Hmm.
character development, scene development, to what are your realistic publishing options, and then what do you got to do after you've published. Obviously, like this, you've got to
Hmm.
promote, right, if you're going to sell any books. So I have an all-encompassing book. But also, if anybody, I'm sure there's one or two people in your audience that has a book in them. So, but
No,
for the 99.9% else of your audience, don't
unless it's
think of it.
homemade porn, I don't think there's a book in them.
But think of it as a tell-all without names. No Kardashian names are dropped, however.
Yeah.
It's a behind the scenes of what does an author go through. If you read a lot of books and you've got a bunch of books on your bookshelf at home, or you've got a whole library, what did an author go through to make that book available for you to be able to read it? So it's
Hmm.
for non-writers also to understand the process of what it takes for books to be on bookshelves.
Interesting. I actually read an excerpt from that one. How to write. I read your whatever they give you on Amazon that you can read. I read through that. And it's because I've always thought. I mean, I don't know that I really want to be a writer per se, but I kind of like to do a lot of different things. So I thought I would like to write something and get it, put it out there in some format. Well, I've done it already in one format, but I'd like to do it as more of a written book. I did like a when my kids were little, I did a children's book for them and put it out and everything. So, but that's not, that's different. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
our friend Michael Gardner took the advice in my How to Write a Book and Get It
mhm.
Published: Hints, Tips, and Techniques. For you, one of the tricks and the tips is you have a podcast. You could
Sure.
take a podcast episodes, have them transcribed, and you've
Yeah.
got automatic chapters.
Oh,
You
I
then
know. We
just
got
go
1,000 chapters.
clean up that chapter to add things that weren't thought of at the time that could have gone with those episodes, and
It's the
bam,
work,
you've got
Joseph.
a
I'm
Dr.
so
Bob book.
lazy.
Yeah, well,
I
no,
just
I
like
mean,
to lay in the sunshine and soak up the rays,
that's
and
not a huge amount of work, though, really. Like my Constitutionalist book, I put together in under a month because I use my hints, tips, and techniques from my How to Write a Book and Get It Published book. So it doesn't have to take a year if you use the hints, tips, and techniques in my How to Write a Book and Get
wow.
It Published.
See, now I talked to Michael not too long ago, and I'm like, you, and I'll say this. I actually got a question about that, but let me say this first. Let me say this about that. So I said, you are a great, and this is not, I'm saying this because this is what people say, but it's not a negative. I'm not saying anything. You're a good, shameless self promoter. And that is a skill that a lot of people don't have because you get wrapped up in, oh, I can't talk about this, or I can't talk about that, or but are you and Michael are two good examples of being very good at that. It's not everything you're talking about, but when it comes up, you take the opportunity to talk about it.
Right.
And it's you don't just start it. Like, I don't know if you've ever encountered somebody who they can't get off of that. You know what I mean? They can't answer another question. They can only keep referring back to the material. But you guys are very good at whenever the opportunity presents itself, you take it, as opposed to not, or being faux bashful, because most people are faux bashful on
Yeah.
these kind of things,
Yeah.
and go, oh, that, whatever, don't worry about that. No, you've put the effort into it. It's obviously something that's out there, and you're
Yeah.
do a great job of presenting it when the opportunity comes to you, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, hey,
Well,
look, I got this book.
Michael Clausen is the CEO of Illumify Media, which Terror Strikes. I approached them to help
Mm-hmm.
with that book, and he literally created a whole new subsidiary for me and future books like mine called McHenry Press. Yes, if that sounds familiar, as in Fort McHenry, that
Oh
Francis
yeah,
Scott Key wrote the
Scott
Star
Key, right?
Spangled
Yeah,
Banner
I've been there.
about. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, I went to Fort McHenry. Yeah.
Michael Clausen has said, yeah, he wishes all their authors were like me because he has some that are, like you say, they want to put out a book and then hope through osmosis it will sell. Well, no, you've got to be your first and best salesperson.
I'm gonna make a book called Osmosis, the book, and then it's just blank pages, and you put it in your mind onto the page. That's my book, Osmosis. The so how did you and Michael
Yeah. Yeah.
Gardner
Well, somebody
connect?
did that.
Oh, the Osmosis, the book,
Yeah, well,
bastards.
yeah. No, not by that title, but somebody wrote reasons to vote for a Democrat, and it's empty. It's
Oh, it's
just
a
a bunch
blank.
of blank pages.
There you go.
But no, yeah,
It's a
Michael
it's a
Gardner and I,
moleskine or whatever. It's a moleskine.
yeah. Well, and through my efforts to promote Terror Strikes coming soon to a city near you, at the time he was doing The Patriot Angle, which morphed into Savage Unfiltered,
Mm-hmm.
which thankfully I'm so grateful he allows me to co-host with him because
Mm-hmm.
we hit it off so well. Talking about my book one time, he invited me back for a series. I was on The Patriot Angle 4 times, and when he moved to Savage Unfiltered, he approached me to do co-hosting. I said, oh, absolutely. I've wanted to do a podcast. I would never start one up my own, but if I co-host, that would be great. And, the rest, as they say, is history. Because without Michael, Constitutionalist Politics podcast and book wouldn't have been born because I would have still had that, even though I've been on countless podcasts, radio, TV, whatever, doing interviews. Hosting is, of course, a whole other kettle of fish,
Right.
right? So, as is co-hosting. You're the sidekick. You get to just interject here and there. You don't have to carry the show yourself.
Right.
And fill in those gaps and keep the discussion moving if there's a guest. Now, like Constitutionalist Politics, it is meant to be a complementary to the Liberty Beacon, that I drop a political article every weekend Saturday. So I created Constitutionalist Politics to kind of piggyback off those articles, and now Constitutionalist Politics, the book, piggybacks off of the podcast. But yeah, if I'd not been a co-host for a while, I would have never felt comfortable enough to start my own podcast from scratch like I was able to do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. But you guys, I mean, you haven't, I mean, what kind of history do you guys have? How long have you known each other, I guess is my question.
Only a couple years now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We met through my attempts to promote Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You. I found the Patriot Angle through one of the interface services, Matchmaker FM. It may have been.
Okay.
You know, there's that. There's podcast guest list. There's radio guest list. There's different services that people who with shows put up a profile, and people like me who have something to promote put up a profile. Yeah. It's kind of like a Tinder for podcasters.
Oh no! Don't say Tinder. This is the grinder for podcasting. Okay, I wasn't sure because I asked Michael that same question, so I kind of knew the answer a little bit, but I was just curious because it seems like you guys have kind of been meshed for a longer time than I guess what it has been. I would have thought you'd known each other at some period in the past and came together several years ago to do something, but it's all kind of organic. It's happened over just a little time.
One of those things. It's just certain people, you're like joined souls.
There's your next book, Joined Souls,
where you meet them, you have a discussion, and it is indeed like you've known each other your whole lives. I'm sure you've had people like that in your life.
Most of the time I'm a one and done. I don't even want to talk to people anymore. No, you and I have talked now for several times over the last year or so. Do
we know each other well enough that I could call you Bobby now?
No one calls me Bobby. Come on. What the hell? Hey, I was keeping it civil. Now you got fighting words going on with this. What am I, a Brady Bunch kid? No, Bobby. I just like to keep it short and sweet. You can call, Michael calls me Dr. Bob because we had a whole discussion about his psyche one time. But I'm not a doctor.
I adopted that too.
Right.
From you being on Savage Unfiltered. Yeah. Exactly. Right.
I'm not a doctor, but
you're an honorary doctor.
Yeah, I wish I was even an honorary doctor, but no.
I've got an honorary PhD. But I think your show is the only show I think I've ever mentioned that.
Really? How did you get that?
Yeah.
You give a lot of money to somebody? What do you do for that?
No, it's just through one of my odd publications, and they came across me, and and they said, there's this opportunity that you could, because people get honorary degrees from places all the time. And
Cosby's got one, and they're not thinking it's such a good idea anymore. Yeah,
right.
They're like, I don't know. We gave this pharmacy school gave them an honorary doctorate, and they're thinking they want to take. No, I'm joking.
But technically, I could put Dr. Joseph M Lenard on my books, but I am not going to go there.
You have to put honorary, don't you? Can you really do that? I don't know.
Oh, yes, you can.
Oh, interesting. all these rules in the world that no one knows about. So what's
I,
next for
I
Joseph?
I also have a
Oh, sorry.
minister. Also have a minister card.
Is it
So
from the Universalist whatever's?
no.
What
Rose
is it?
Ministries.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm one of the early online ministries, Universalist or whatever. I got one of
yeah,
those. So you
yeah,
can call me
yeah,
Reverend Dr. Bob if you want.
yeah. There we go. Yeah, next time you're on Savage Unfiltered, I'll pop that in, and so that way
Reverend
people
Dr.
will.
Bob.
Michael will say, "What? Where did that come
Yeah,
from?" And we
I
can go
got
into
that.
that.
Gosh, this would have been probably not even the year 2001, somewhere around there. I got that.
Ah, yeah.
Long time
So
ago, way,
you,
way
like
back.
me, can legally marry somebody,
Right,
and
I did that. The whole bit was I was trying to get somebody to let me marry them, but it didn't work out. But for their own good.
I mainly wanted to be able to have that. So, as a Christian, I'm not trying to push my faith on anybody,
Oh,
but
it's
uh,
whenever you said Christitutionalist, you're pushing it
yeah,
there.
I think think people got it. But yeah, but I wanted to be able to minister in hospitals if somebody wanted it. I
Ah,
ministered with somebody at a courthouse one time
mhm.
because they were in. Obviously, if you're at a courtroom, something's going on, and they were in a frenzy. And I asked them if they were
Mhm.
Christian indeed, so that she said yes. So I said, well, how about we pray together? And
Oh no, you're
that
using it.
that
It's not a
that
pickup
helped
line,
her.
is it,
No, it was
Joseph?
not a pickup line. No, and
Well, I am a reverend, by the
that
way.
helped
So,
calm her. And
oh, well, that
that
was very
I
kind of
hope
you.
that made a difference for
You're being a kind person. Even though you talk about terror,
her.
it's okay.
Well,
So
in about that, let me, because
you gotta
people,
show me the.
I'm gonna
What do
grab
you
a
got?
piece of paper so I
It
get
looks like a
this right.
manifesto. Watch out.
Yeah,
What?
because I like to say that it's a book within a book. We follow Martin, who's a Detroit newspaper person, who's
Mhm.
writing a book on terrorism. So, yes, terrorism is the thread that holds it together, but that's not really what it is. I'm not selling fear porn. It's not a Rambo kind of blood and guts shoot 'em up. So yes,
Mhm.
it's about terrorism, but not book about death, but life and living. Life
Mhm.
over death, hope over fear, faith over despair, love over hate, good over evil, individualism over collectivism, freedom over tyranny. So there's the political aspects, family and friends. So again, that's the exactly what it says, family and friends. Don't live in fear. Don't be stupid. Don't be clueless. Like in
Mhm.
my uh, Naperville, Illinois chapter in the book, Teresa.
Oh, Naperville.
Teresa says she thought she was the mama bear she need be for her child, but she realized she was really more an ostrich, right? Because if an
Mm.
ostrich, you're burying your head to things, doesn't mean they're not going to affect you still. Ostrich wanders onto train tracks, hears a noise, buries its head between the tracks, isn't going to stop it being bowled over and slaughtered by the train just because it doesn't see and hear it coming anymore, right? So I use
Mhm.
another joke. So I use that metaphor, right? That
Right.
analogy, right? But I like to say, don't ever compliment my metaphors. I'm too clever to use metaphors. I use meta sixes. But
But oh my gosh.
That's because I have a PhD.
Yeah, and then you're a reverend doctor. So what's next for Joe? So I mean, you got the book out. What was it? Let me put it up here. There you go. New book. Uh, but what's the next thing? So we know about this new book, but you got to
Yeah.
be working on something else, don't you? What are you
Well,
gonna do?
yeah, I certainly have other
More
irons in.
cancer? You thinking about more cancer or?
I hope not. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I hope
do
not
have
either.
few irons in the fire. My next immediate plan is Constitutionalist 2. Uh, so that it comes out next year before the
Electric
election.
Boogaloo? Is that what that is? Like Breaking
Yeah,
2?
right, before the election. Again, about bringing like-minded thinking Christians to think more about their politics. Like I say about that book, it's meant to make people think. You know, it's controversial and upsetting in parts, and it's meant to be. Just like Terror Strikes is. This is a disclaimer on the bottom of every page of terrorstrikes.info website. Warning, many deem me and my book controversial and upsetting, and Terror Strikes and Constitutionalists both are meant to be, meant to make people think, to challenge your own as well as others' intentions, motives, your own and others' morality and mortality.
Interesting. So, more
Yeah.
more books, more
food
talking,
for thought. So
more.
to keep the podcast going. That second book next year, hopefully to try and help influence next year's election, and other irons in the fire. I've got a book working titled Living Hell, another one, So Tired. I'm hoping to hear back from a Rabbi Kurt Schneider here in Michigan. He's got a project called Taking the Rainbow Back, about, you know, how the lefty rainbow alphabet mafia has tried to co-opt the 7 colors of the rainbow, taking one out, making it a 6-color rainbow flag. So he's got Taking the Rainbow Back project, and I proposed to him a joint book, some of my stuff and all of his stuff. In fact, I sent it to him. He wouldn't have to do any of the work. He's done it all. It's on his website. I just lift it, put it in the book along with my stuff. Bam, there's a book.
There you go. That sounds wild. Yeah, I think they did the drop the colors so that they get a cheaper bulk buy for their materials. I'm just joking here. So they're going for the bulk discount. The so it's now you're saying Christitutional instead of Christitutional now? Is that the deal?
Well, yeah, I pronounce it Christitutionalist.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
As in the original Christos.
Ah.
You know, that where Xmas comes from, it's actually short for Christos Mass. So when someone says Merry Xmas, if you're a fellow Christian and you're getting upset, oh my God, you're taking Christ out of Christmas. No, they're not. You're the dumb one. They're saying Merry Christos Mass, the original, actual Christos Mass. So it's not
if they even know that, maybe they don't know it.
That's the problem. Most people don't know it. And yes, I go into that in Christitutionalist politics to educate. Because, unfortunately, there's a whole lot of fellow Christians that sadly don't know a whole lot about their own faith.
Wow. There you go. There you had it. Right there. Joseph M Lenard. You can find him at Savage Unfiltered. Christitutionalist. Look for those at any of your podcast, aggregators.
Yeah, I'm on 14 platforms going for more.
And let me hit this button here and get your promo codes there at terrorstrikes.info for all your books or just for the Terror Strikes book?
A discount on any
book.
2, or all 3. The discount will apply to all 3 if you buy all 3. All 3 will be autographed. This is only open to U.S. residents, though, because I include free shipping. You don't want to
pay that crazy shipping overseas, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I can send you a book in the U.S. for $3.98. That I can handle. But I'm not sending a book for $20 so that the book costs, or the shipping costs more than the book.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got to play the game with the old shippers.
But anyone outside the U.S., again, these are international books. You can go to terrorstrikes.info/shop, and there's a link to international shopping. which will
Oh.
take you to another page. Places closer to you, you can buy that book.
Oh, okay. So then that way you don't have to worry about shipping it across the
Yep.
continents and so
I,
forth.
I do pretty well in Australia through Booktopia.
Really?
Yep.
It's interesting. I was just talking to a guy from Australia yesterday. Go
Oh.
figure. Uncensored Yarns. That was his show. Anyway, we're not going to promote him necessarily, but go look up more stuff on Leonard. And if you love polka, listen to his dad's stuff. Right?
Yeah, you could go to terrorstrikes.info. Under the More tab, there's a tribute page to my father, and you can hear our little Polish genie on that page. Also, if you're a Billy Idol fan, you want to go to terrorstrikes.info/Billy Idol, and I'll just leave you with that as a tease. Hopefully, you now want to understand what is Joseph M. Lenard and Billy Idol. How do they, you know,
I
connect?
have this weird thought that you guys were in Bangladesh at a bar.
Mum's the word. You got to go to the little website to see that.
All right. Thanks, Joseph. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you again
All
sometime,
right. Thanks
somewhere.
for having me on, Dr. Bob. Really appreciate it. Take care. God bless.